I wiped sweat from my forehead and leaned against the wooden fence. The cows had been restless all morning and the sun beat down harder than usual. My hands ached from hauling buckets, but I forced myself to keep moving. I had to. The screen door creaked open behind me. "Ma, you shouldn't be out here in this heat," Daniel called. I turned and smiled faintly. "If I don't, who will? The farm doesn't rest." He walked closer, adjusting his shirt collar. "I've been meaning to talk to you. Clara and we've decided to leave for a while." My heart sank. "Leave? Where are you going?" "The coast," he said quickly, avoiding my eyes. "There are better opportunities there. Clara thinks." Clara's voice cut him off as she stepped onto the porch. "I don't just think, Daniel. I know. This farm keeps him chained to the past. He deserves more than cows and broken fences." I stiffened. "The farm kept food on your table. It raised him. It raised me." She smirked. "And it's killing you, isn't it? Look at your hands, your back. You're clinging to a dying life." I swallowed hard. "Daniel, is this how you feel too?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Ma, it's not like that. We'll only be gone for a few months. Clara's mother knows people by the coast. She says she can help us settle." The name slipped from my mouth like a curse. "Helena." Right on cue, Helena appeared at the doorway, her arms folded. "Don't look so sour, dear. Change is good. Your son deserves to see more than dirt and hay." I glared at her. "You've been whispering this into his ear since the wedding." Helena chuckled. "Whispering? Oh, speaking truth. A man should live, not rot beside his mother's apron strings." My chest burned. "Daniel, I worked every inch of this land after your father died. I held you through storms, through sickness. And now you tell me you'll leave me here alone?" Daniel rubbed his temples. "Ma, please don't make this harder. I'm doing this for us. If I succeed, I'll send money back. The farm will be easier to manage with help." I laughed bitterly. "Help? From whom? The cows? The weeds? You're leaving me to break my back alone." Clara's voice rose. "You're acting dramatic. Daniel isn't abandoning you. He's growing up. You should be proud." "Proud?" My voice cracked. "Proud that my son turns his back on the soil that fed him? Proud that he listens more to his wife and her mother than the woman who bore him?" Helena sighed loudly. "There it is. The guilt card. Always dragging him down with your sad stories." I snapped. "You don't get to speak about my sacrifices." Daniel stepped between us. "Enough. Ma, Clara, Helena, stop. I can't take the fighting." Tears pricked my eyes, but I held them back. "When do you leave?" He hesitated. "Tomorrow." The word stabbed me. "So soon?" Clara interjected. "We've already bought the tickets. No point dragging it out." I looked at my son's face, searching for hesitation, for regret. His eyes darted away. He wouldn't even meet mine. "You could have told me earlier," I whispered. "Instead, you let me believe you'd help fix the barn this week. You let me hope." Daniel's voice softened. "I'm sorry, Ma. I didn't know how to say it." "You just did." My throat tightened, but I forced myself to stand tall. "Go then. Take your wife. Take her mother. But don't pretend this is for me." Helena smirked as if she'd won. Finally, some sense. I ignored her. My gaze stayed on Daniel. "Remember, son, the soil remembers who abandons it. One day you'll hear its silence and it won't forgive." He flinched. "Ma." I turned away, walking toward the barn. My hands trembled, but I refused to let them see me break. The door shut behind me, muting their voices. Only the sound of the animals remained, their breaths steady, their eyes watchful. I leaned against the wall, my chest heaving. "He's leaving me," I whispered to the empty barn. "Just like his father once threatened to before the fever took him." The memory made my knees buckle. I pressed a hand to the rough wood, grounding myself. "I'll survive. I always do." Outside, I heard laughter. Clara's sharp, Helena's smug, Daniel's forced. It cut deeper than any blade. I clenched my fist. They think I'll break. They think I'll wither here alone. But inside me, a storm began to rise. The morning after they left, silence wrapped around the farmhouse like a shroud. I fed the chickens, milked the cow, and mended the fence, all alone. Every creak of the boards reminded me Daniel should have been there. I carried a bucket toward the well when Mrs. Green appeared at the gate. "Morning," she called. "You look worn out." I'm fine, I muttered, setting the bucket down. Her eyes darted toward the empty yard. Funny. Haven't seen Daniel around. Folks say he went off to the coast with his wife and her mother. My heart tightened. So the whole town knows already. She lowered her voice. Some say he's thinking of selling part of the farm. Heard it at the store yesterday. My head snapped up. Selling? He can't. This land isn't his to throw away. Mrs. Green shrugged. That's what I heard. You know how people talk. I clenched the bucket handle so hard my knuckles turned white. He promised me he'd never touch the land without my blessing. She studied me kindly. Men change when women whisper in their ear. You be careful, dear. That Clara and her mother, they've got sharp tongues. I forced a thin smile. Thank you for telling me. After she left, I stood frozen, the bucket heavy in my hand. The whispers of betrayal spread faster than the wind, and I was the last to know. By evening, Daniel's voice came crackling through the old phone line. Ma. My chest tightened. So you remembered I exist. Don't start, please. I wanted to check on you. Or did Clara remind you too? My voice was bitter even to my own ears. He sighed. Don't make this harder. I'll send money soon. Things are expensive here, but I'm working on it. I closed my eyes. And what's this I hear about you selling land? Silence. Then a weak laugh. You've been listening to gossip again. Daniel. My voice cracked. Tell me the truth. He hesitated. Clara thinks it would help us start fresh. Helena knows a realtor. There it is, I cut in. Always Helena. Always Claire. And where am I in these plans? Buried under the soil with your father. His tone hardened. Don't twist this, Ma. I'm trying to build something for us. For us. I spat the words. You left me with broken fences and empty nights. You're not building for us, you're building for them. The line went quiet. Then he whispered, I thought you'd understand. I bit back a sob. Understand what? That my son chose strangers over his mother? That the land your father and I bled for means nothing? Ma. His voice cracked, but then Clara's sharp tone pierced through the background. Daniel, don't let her guilt you again. Hang up if she starts crying. My hand trembled around the receiver. So now she tells you when to hang up on me? Daniel stammered, Clara, please. The line clicked dead. I stood there staring at the silent phone. My knees gave out and I slid to the floor, the cold tiles pressing against me. I gave him everything, I whispered to the empty room. And he gives me nothing but silence. The wind rattled the windows, carrying faint echoes of laughter from the past. Daniel as a boy running barefoot through the fields, calling me Ma with joy in his voice. That boy was gone. All that remained was a man tangled in his wife's pride and his mother-in-law's greed. I pressed my forehead against the wall. If betrayal has roots, they've planted them deep in my son's heart. But even as my tears fell, I felt something shift inside me, a faint ember of anger, glowing through the cracks of my grief. I sat at the kitchen table, pen in hand, staring at the blank paper. The lantern flickered, shadows crawling across the walls. My hand trembled as I began to write. Dear Daniel, the farm is holding on, though it's hard without you. I miss our talks by the fire. Do you remember how your father used to say the land breathes with us? I fear you've forgotten. Please come visit soon. Love, Ma. I sealed the envelope, kissed it, and placed it on the counter. By the end of the week, 3 more letters sat stacked beside it. None had replies. I went to the post office again. Mrs. Green stood in line behind me. More letters, she asked softly. I forced a smile. Yes. He's busy. But he'll answer. Her lips pressed together. Busy sons still write back, dear. I pretended not to hear. That evening, I lit a candle and read one of my old letters aloud as if Daniel were there. Dear Daniel, I fixed the fence today. Took me all afternoon. Remember when you hammered nails beside your father, and he said you had steady hands? My voice cracked. Those hands should have been here today. I pressed the paper to my chest. The silence answered me. The phone rang suddenly, startling me. I snatched it up. Daniel. But Clara's sharp voice filled the line. It's me. Daniel's busy. My breath caught. Busy? Too busy to answer his own mother. He's working, unlike you, sitting around on that farm. My jaw clenched. Sitting around? My back bends every hour on this land. He grew up watching me bleed for it. Clara laughed coldly. And look at you now, alone, tired, clinging to dirt. Daniel needs to move forward, not backward. Where is he? I demanded. He doesn't need your guilt. Stop writing letters. He throws them aside. He doesn't even read them. The words struck like a knife. You're lying. Believe what you want, she snapped. But stop bothering him. We're building a future. The line went dead. I stared at the receiver, my breath shallow. My son's letters, unread, untouched. Later that night I spoke to the photograph of Daniel as a boy, his small face grinning with 2 missing teeth. I remember when you held my hand after your father's funeral, I whispered. You said you'd never leave me. You promised. My tears smudged the glass. Was it all just words? The next morning I carried water from the well. My arms ached, but my heart ached more. Tom the farmhand noticed. You're pushing yourself too hard, he said, taking the bucket from me. I'm fine, I muttered. He studied me. No, you're not. You look like a ghost. I swallowed. He doesn't answer my letters, Tom. Not one. Clara said he doesn't even read them. Tom's brow furrowed. Don't trust that woman. Maybe he never saw them. Maybe, I whispered, though doubt chewed at me. Tom set the bucket down firmly. You raised him better than this. Sometimes people get lost. Doesn't mean they're gone forever. I gave a bitter laugh. Feels like he already is. Tom's eyes softened. Then you hold on until he finds his way back. You're stronger than you think. His words lingered after he left, but when night came, loneliness returned heavier than before. I sat at the table again, another blank page before me. My hand hovered over it. This time no words came. My tears fell instead, blotting the paper before ink touched it. For the first time I didn't write. The sun rose behind the hills, but I felt no warmth. I dragged myself out to the fields, my body aching from yesterday's work. The fence had broken again and the cows wandered too close to the road. I muttered under my breath, always something. Always me. As I wrestled with a wooden post, Tom appeared carrying tools. You should have called me earlier, he said. I can handle it, I insisted, though my arms shook. Tom frowned. Your face says otherwise. You're pale. I forced a laugh. Maybe the sun bleached me. He stepped closer, steadying the post with his hands. Stop pretending you're fine. You can't carry the farm alone. I have to, I whispered. Why? He asked. I snapped. Because Daniel left. Because Claire made sure he forgot me. Because no one else will. Tom held my gaze. You still have me. I swallowed hard. You're a farmhand, Tom. Paid to help. Not family. He nodded slowly. Maybe not family, but loyalty isn't bought. Some of us stay because we care. I looked away, ashamed of my trembling hands. Care doesn't fix fences. Then let me help, he said gently. Stop shutting me out. I didn't answer. Instead, I hammered nails with shaking arms. Sweat poured down my back, blurring my vision. Tom caught the hammer mid-swing. Enough. You're pushing yourself to the grave. I pulled away. Leave me, Tom. If I stop, I'll fall apart. His jaw tightened. You're already falling. Before I could respond, darkness crept in. My knees buckled and the ground rushed up. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the porch bench. Tom's worried face hovered above me. You fainted, he said quietly. I groaned, trying to sit up. Just heat. I'm fine. He pressed my shoulder down. You're not fine. You need a doctor. I don't need a doctor. I need my son. The words slipped out, raw and broken. Tom's expression softened. Maybe he'll realize what he's lost one day. Until then, you can't destroy yourself waiting. Tears welled in my eyes. I raised him to be strong, not selfish. I don't know when he changed. Maybe he didn't change, Tom said carefully. Maybe he's just blind right now. I turned my face away. Blindness doesn't stop the cows from starving. Doesn't fix roofs when storms hit. I'm drowning here, Tom. He crouched beside me. Then let me pull you out. Please. I looked at him, really looked. His hands were rough like mine, worn by work. His eyes carried no judgment, only patience. My voice broke. Why are you still here? Everyone else left. Because some of us know the value of loyalty, he said firmly. And I won't watch you crumble alone. For a moment, silence hung between us, broken only by the creak of the old barn door in the wind. I whispered, "If I lean on you even a little, will you stay?" He nodded without hesitation. "For as long as you need." A sob slipped from my chest. I covered my face, ashamed. "I don't want him to see me weak if he ever comes back." Tom's voice was steady. "Strength isn't pretending you're unbreakable. It's standing up after you fall. And you, ma'am, you've stood longer than most could." I lowered my hands, tears streaking my cheeks. "Then maybe I can stand a little longer, with help." He gave a small smile. "That's all I ask." The farm groaned around us. Broken fences, tired animals, weary fields. But for the first time in weeks I felt a sliver of weight lift. I whispered to the wind, "I'm not alone after all." The sky darkened early that evening, clouds rolling heavy over the hills. I pulled a tarp across the barn roof as thunder growled in the distance. Tom shouted from the ladder, "You shouldn't be up here." "I've fixed worse storms," I yelled back, gripping the rope with trembling hands. Rain pelted down, soaking us both. My arms shook, but I tied the tarp tighter. The wind roared like it wanted to rip the farm apart. Tom climbed closer. "Climb down before you fall." "I'm not leaving the animals to drown." I snapped. "You'll drown first," he shot back. Before I could answer, the phone in my pocket buzzed. I climbed down, fumbling with wet hands. "Hello." Daniel's voice cut through the static. "Ma." My heart leapt and broke all at once. "You remembered me?" "Don't start, please. I need to ask you something." My grip tightened on the phone. "Not even a, 'How are you?' just straight to business?" His tone was sharp. "We need you to sign some papers. Claire and I found a buyer for part of the land. It'll help us settle debts." The rain drowned out my gasp. "Debts? You left me with debts of my own. And you want me to sell the farm?" Helena's voice echoed faintly behind him. "Tell her it's the only way forward." I froze. "She's there, isn't she? Always there." Daniel's voice wavered. "Ma, don't make this harder. Just sign it. Sign away my life. The soil your father worked until his last breath? Over my dead body." Clara's voice burst through the receiver. "Stop clinging to the past. Daniel has a future and you're holding him back." I shouted into the storm. "I held him up when no one else did. I carried this farm on my shoulders. Don't you dare tell me I'm holding him back." Daniel groaned. "Ma, you don't understand." "No, you don't understand." My voice cracked. "Every nail in that barn, every crop in that field, it's my blood. My bones. And you think I'll hand it over to strangers because Helena says so?" Helena's mocking laugh came faintly. "She'll cave. Old women always cave." My chest burned. "Listen to me, Daniel. I will never sign those papers. Not for you. Not for them. Not for anyone." Silence filled the line. Then Daniel whispered, "I thought you'd support me." "Support you?" I choked. "I begged you to stay. I begged you to remember who you are. But you traded me for the coast, for Clara, for Helena. You want support? Earn it." Clara hissed in the background. "Hang up. She's poisoning you." I whispered into the storm, "You left me to die here. And I'm still standing." The line went dead. I lowered the phone, my hands trembling. Rain mixed with tears on my face. Tom's voice broke through. "What happened?" I swallowed hard. "He asked me to sell the farm." Tom's jaw clenched. "And?" I refused. My voice shook, but a spark of fire lit inside me. For the first time I refused. He nodded firmly. "Good. You held your ground." I stared at the raging sky. "Then why does it hurt so much?" "Because you love him," Tom said gently. "Love makes betrayal heavier." I sank against the barn wall, thunder cracking above. "He doesn't see me anymore. I'm just an obstacle to his new life." Tom knelt beside me. "Then let him trip over that obstacle. You don't need to move out of his way." A sob escaped me, raw and bitter. "I hate that he has this power over me. One word and I break." Tom's hand rested lightly on my arm. "Then stop breaking. Start fighting." I closed my eyes, hearing the storm rage and my own heartbeat thunder with it. "I will," I whispered. "I'll fight. Even if it's only me." The storm tore at the roof again, but for once I didn't feel helpless. The rain lashed, the thunder roared, Yet inside me a different storm took shape, one that would not bow to Helena, Clara, or even Daniel. That night, as the storm raged on, I sat by the lantern, staring at the papers Daniel had mailed weeks ago. The unsigned lines glared back at me. I touched the pen, then shoved it away. Never, I whispered. The wind howled in answer. I was mending a broken fence post when I saw a figure walking up the dirt road. He was tall, carrying a worn leather bag, his steps steady like he'd been walking a long way. I wiped the sweat from my brow and called out. "Can I help you?" I asked. He stopped near the gate, tipped his hat, and gave me a careful look. "Are you Daniel's mother?" The sound of my son's name froze me. "Yes." "Who are you?" "My name's Michael," he said. "I knew Daniel back in the city. I came because I thought you should hear the truth." I tightened my grip on the hammer in my hand. "What truth?" He looked past me at the farmhouse, then back at my face. "Can we sit?" "It's a long story." I hesitated, then led him to the porch. We sat on the old wooden bench. My heart pounded. "Go on," I said. Michael placed his bag on the ground. "I worked with Daniel on a shipping project. He told me often about the farm, about you. He wanted to help, but what?" I interrupted. Michael's eyes softened. "Clara and Helena didn't want him here. They made him choose. Helena said a man tied to a farm would never rise. Clara pushed him to follow her dreams instead." My chest burned. "So he left because of them?" Michael nodded. "Yes, but there's more. Daniel didn't go to the coast just for work. Helena arranged meetings with investors. They're trying to sell land that may include this farm." I shot to my feet. "Sell? This farm is mine. My husband and I built every wall with our own hands." Michael raised his palms. "I'm telling you because Daniel never wanted it. He argued with them. But Clara's mother has influence and Daniel gave in." I shook my head. "He promised me he'd never abandon this place. He swore it at his father's grave." "I know," Michael said softly. "That's why he drinks so much now. That's why he looks hollow when I see him. He's torn apart inside." Tears blurred my eyes, but anger pushed them back. "Then why didn't he come home? Why send a stranger to tell me?" Michael lowered his voice. "Because he's trapped. Helena has control over the money. Clara follows her mother's lead. Daniel feels like he has no power left." I clenched my fist. "No power? He's my son. He has my blood. He should have stood up for me." Michael looked at me with pity. "He's weak, ma'am. But he still loves you. He talks about you all the time. That's why I came. I thought you deserved to know." The porch fell quiet except for the creak of the bench. I felt the weight of every word pressing into my chest. Finally I asked, "Why do you care? You could have stayed silent." Michael sighed. "Because I lost my own mother to lies like these. I watched people tear her world apart. I couldn't save her. Maybe I can help you." I studied him, searching for deceit, but his eyes held only tired honesty. "Help me how?" He leaned forward. "Gather proof. Expose Helena before she destroys everything. I know where the papers are kept. But I can't do it alone." The thought of sneaking, of fighting back, stirred something fierce in me. "And what do you expect from me?" "Courage," he said simply. "The same courage you've shown just by surviving here alone." I let out a bitter laugh. "Courage? I feel nothing but rage." "Sometimes rage is courage in disguise," he replied. His words settled deep. "For years I'd worked, waiting for loyalty, waiting for love. Now a stranger was telling me what my own son couldn't." I whispered, "If what you say is true, Helena won't win. Not while I'm still breathing." Michael gave a sharp nod. "Then we fight together." The sun dipped lower, shadows stretching across the porch. I felt the old farmhouse behind me, steady and unbroken, and for the first time in years, I wasn't entirely alone. The next morning, Michael spread papers across my kitchen table. His hands were steady, but my own trembled as I traced the letters. "These are contracts," he explained. "Helena's been meeting buyers. Clara signs as witness. Daniel. His name is on one draft, but I think he was forced." I slammed my fist on the table. "Forced or not, he let it happen." Michael held my gaze. "He's broken, but he isn't cruel. Helena is the one pulling strings." I stared at the papers. "So she thinks she can erase me? Sell my life out from under me?" The door creaked open. I turned and there stood Daniel. My heart dropped. Mother, he whispered, eyes darting from me to Michael. What's going on? I stepped forward. You tell me. Why is your name on these papers? He paled. You weren't supposed to see them. Answer me. I shouted. Daniel looked at the floor. Helena said it was just business. She promised we'd all have more money. She said you'd be taken care of. Taken care of? My voice cracked. I don't need her pity. I need my son's loyalty. Michael cut in sharply. Daniel, you know this is wrong. Why haven't you stopped her? Daniel's shoulders sagged. Because I'm weak. Because every time I argue, Clara cries, Helena screams, and you bow your head, I finished bitterly. He flinched like I'd struck him. I didn't want to hurt you, Mother. I swear it. I pointed to the door. Then stop hurting me. Stop letting them steal what's mine. His lips trembled. You don't understand. Helena holds all the accounts. If I defy her, I lose everything. You've already lost me, I whispered. Silence fell, heavy and suffocating. Finally, Daniel looked at Michael. Why are you here? Michael straightened. Because someone had to protect your mother when you didn't. Daniel's jaw tightened, shame and anger flickering in his eyes. Stay out of this. I stepped between them. No. He stays. He's the only one who's told me the truth. Daniel swallowed hard. Mother, please. Don't fight them. It'll only make things worse. I laughed bitterly. Worse? You left me to rot on this farm while you ran to the coast with your wife and her mother. Tell me, Daniel, what could possibly be worse than being abandoned by my own son? He had no answer. His lips moved but no sound came. Finally he muttered, I'll try to slow things down. I'll buy you time. Time. I shook my head. I don't want scraps of your guilt. I want justice. Michael leaned closer to him. Daniel, you still have a choice. Stand with your mother or stand with Helena. There's no middle ground. Daniel's eyes glistened. He looked at me as though searching for forgiveness, but I gave him nothing. He whispered, I don't know if I'm strong enough. I turned away. Then you're not the son I raised. He staggered back like the words had cut deep. For a moment I thought he'd speak again, but instead he fled out the door, leaving it banging in the wind. The silence after his departure felt colder than any winter. Michael placed a gentle hand on my arm. I'm sorry. I know that hurt. I drew a shaky breath. Hurt? Oh, it shattered me. But maybe it's what I needed. Now I see Helena's cracks forming. She's greedy, too sure of herself. That pride will be her downfall. Michael nodded. Then we'll make sure it is. I looked out at the fields, golden under the fading sun. My son's footsteps still echoed in my ears, but so did my own vow. This farm won't fall, I whispered. Not to Helena, not to Clara, not to anyone. If Daniel won't fight for it, I will. And in that moment the rage inside me turned into something sharper, resolve. Michael and I waited in the farmhouse kitchen, the papers spread before us like weapons. The clock ticked, each second stretching my nerves tighter. At last, wheels crunched on the gravel outside. She's here, Michael murmured. I straightened my back as Helena swept in, Clara trailing close behind. Helena's perfume filled the room before her voice did. Well, she said coldly, what a surprise. My son-in-law's mother playing detective. I folded my arms. Sit down, Helena. We need to talk. She smirked, refusing the chair. I don't take orders from tired farm women. Michael slid the papers forward. Then maybe you'll take orders from the law. These contracts prove your intent to sell land that doesn't belong to you. Helena's eyes flicked over the pages, but her smirk never wavered. Daniel signed. That's enough. No, I snapped. His father left this farm to me. You can't touch it. Clara stepped forward timidly. Mother, maybe we should. Silence, Helena barked, her glare silencing even her own daughter. He turned back to me. You're clinging to a dying farm. Daniel deserves more. Clara deserves more. I will not let your backward ways ruin their future. My voice shook, but I didn't let it falter. You mean your future. You want the money, the control. But you've underestimated me. Helena laughed, sharp and cruel. What do you have besides dirt under your nails? I have truth, I said, slamming my hand on the papers. And I have witnesses. You won't get away with this. Michael added firmly, I've already sent copies to my lawyer. If you move one more step toward selling, the court will know. For the first time, Helena's smile flickered. You fool. Do you think anyone will believe a stranger and a bitter old woman? I stepped closer, locking eyes with her. They'll believe when Daniel testifies. He knows everything. Helena's face hardened. Daniel won't defy me. The door creaked again and Daniel walked in. His eyes were red, his hands trembling. Yes, I will, he said quietly. Helena spun toward him. You ungrateful boy. After all I've done. Done. Daniel's voice cracked. You've destroyed me. You've turned me against my own mother. I can't live like this anymore. Clara gasped, clutching his arm. Daniel, don't say that. We need her. He pulled away. No, Clara. We need peace. We need honesty. I should have stood by my mother from the start. My breath caught. For a moment the boy I raised was standing before me again. Helena snarled. Pathetic. You'd throw away fortune for sentiment. Daniel lifted his chin. I'd throw away anything if it meant keeping my soul. Helena's mask cracked then, her lips trembling, her voice rising. Do you know what you're doing? Without me you'll have nothing. I stepped forward, my voice low but steady. He'll have me. And that's more than enough. The room fell silent except for Helena's ragged breathing. He turned on Claire. Say something. Stand with me. But Clara only looked at Daniel, tears sliding down her cheeks. I can't fight him, Mother. Not this time. Helena's face twisted, fury and disbelief warring in her eyes. Traitors. All of you. Michael stood, his voice firm. No, Helena. The traitor is you. Helena's shoulders slumped. For the first time she looked small, fragile, her power slipping through her fingers. She tried to speak but no words came. Daniel whispered, Mother, I'm sorry. I should have been stronger. I placed a hand on his cheek. You were blind but now you see. That's enough. Helena let out a bitter laugh, hollow and broken. You think you've won? The world doesn't reward goodness. It rewards power. I met her gaze without fear. Then let the world take you. This farm, this family, it's no longer yours to touch. Helena staggered back, her hands shaking. You'll regret this. I straightened my shoulders. No. You will. She stormed out, her footsteps heavy, her pride in ruins. Clara followed, sobbing, torn between loyalty and shame. When the door slammed shut, the silence felt like fresh air after a storm. Daniel sank to his knees before me. Mother, can you ever forgive me? I pulled him into my arms. Forgiveness isn't easy. But you're my son. That bond is stronger than betrayal. Michael gave a small nod, his eyes warm. The cracks have opened. Helena won't recover from this. I looked around the kitchen at the papers that had once been weapons but now felt like shields. The farmhouse seemed to breathe with me, alive again. For the first time in years I felt hope. The farmhouse was quiet the next morning, too quiet. I sat at the kitchen table staring at the pile of contracts. Michael poured me tea, his calm presence steadying me. What happens now? I asked softly. He set the cup in front of me. Now Helena has no hold. She'll rage, but the law and truth are against her. I nodded, though my heart still ached. She left ruins behind. Placing my trust. The door opened and Daniel stepped in. His eyes were swollen, his clothes wrinkled. He looked like a boy again, lost and guilty. Mother, he whispered. I didn't speak, only watched as he sank into the chair opposite me. I failed you, he said, voice breaking. I let Helena twist me. I let Clara's tears blind me. I left you alone to suffer. I finally spoke. Yes, you did. He winced as though struck. I don't deserve forgiveness. Michael shifted, about to speak, but I raised my hand. No. Let him finish. Daniel clasped his hands together. I don't know how to make it right, but I want to try. If you'll let me, I'll work the farm again. I'll rebuild what I broke. My throat tightened. And Clara? He lowered his head. She says she wants to stay with me, but she's shaken. She saw her mother's cruelty. She doesn't want to become like her. I sighed. It will take more than words, Daniel. I can't pretend nothing happened. Tears slipped down his cheeks. I'll prove it with actions. Just don't shut me out completely. The silence hung heavy until I whispered, You're my son. I can't shut you out no matter how much I wish I could sometimes. Relief washed over his face, though guilt still lingered. Michael leaned back. Healing takes time. But at least the rot has been cut away. I looked at him. And what about you, Michael? Why stay in this mess? He smiled faintly. Because I see strength here. And because I lost my own family once. Helping you feels like I've gained something back. Warmth touched my heart, though I masked it with a nod. Then stay. This farm could use another steady pair of hands. Daniel glanced at him warily. You trust him more than me. I met my son's eyes. Trust is earned. He hasn't betrayed me. You did. But you can earn it back. Daniel swallowed hard. I will. We sat together, the three of us, the air heavy but no longer suffocating. Outside, the morning sun lit the fields, casting gold across the earth. Later, Clara came quietly, her face pale, her eyes swollen from crying. She stood at the doorway, unsure. Mother-in-law, she whispered. I straightened, bracing myself. What do you want? She stepped inside slowly. I want to apologize. I let my mother control me. I believed her lies. I thought you were just bitter and stubborn. But I see now I was wrong. Her voice trembled, but I kept mine steady. Do you regret the pain you caused? Yes, she said, tears falling. I regret every word, every moment I sided with her. I don't ask for forgiveness, only a chance to change. I studied her. For the first time her pride was gone. She was just a frightened young woman, stripped of her mother's shield. Then prove it, I said at last. Stand beside Daniel. Work, learn, and show me you're not your mother's shadow. Clara nodded, relief flooding her face. I will. I swear I will. Michael's voice was calm. A family rebuilt is stronger than one born perfect. I let out a shaky breath. This farm has survived storms, droughts, and now betrayal. If it can live, so can we. Daniel reached across the table, his hand trembling as it touched mine. Thank you, Mother. For the first time in years I didn't pull away. The farmhouse creaked softly as though it too breathed again. Autumn came quickly, painting the fields in gold and red. I stood by the porch watching Daniel load hay into the barn. Clara worked beside him, her hands clumsy but determined. Michael fixed the roof, humming softly as if he belonged here all along. For the first time in years I wasn't alone. Yet the ache in my chest lingered, reminding me of the scars betrayal left behind. Daniel wiped his brow and walked over. Mother, the barn's almost ready for winter. I nodded. Your father would have been proud to see you work like this. Daniel lowered his gaze. I should have done it sooner. I wasted so much time chasing Helena's approval. I placed a hand on his arm. What matters is that you're here now. Regret doesn't plant seeds, work does. He gave a small smile. Then I'll keep working until the day you trust me again. Clara approached timidly. And I'll keep learning. I know I don't deserve your kindness, but I'll earn it if you let me. I studied her face. Gone was the sharp pride that once mirrored Helena's. She was softer now, humbled. Actions speak louder than promises, Clara. Show me through your hands, not your words. She nodded, determination shining through her tears. Michael climbed down from the roof, brushing dust off his hands. You've got good soil here, he said. Strong land. It'll outlive us all. I looked at him with quiet gratitude. The soil's strong, but it needed strong people too. I nearly forgot that. He met my gaze and gave a small nod, saying more in silence than words could carry. That evening we gathered around the kitchen table. The air smelled of stew, and for once the silence was warm, not heavy. Daniel cleared his throat. Mother, there's something I need to say. I set down my spoon. Go on. I don't want to just work here. I want to build something new, something that honors Father and you. Maybe expand the farm, maybe open a small market. But only if you agree. Emotions swelled in me, but I kept my tone steady. If you do it with honesty, not greed, then yes. This land can grow more than crops, it can grow hope. Clara placed her hand over his. Then that's what we'll do. Together. Michael raised his glass of water. To new beginnings. We clinked glasses, the simple sound ringing like a promise. Later, after they went to bed, I stepped outside alone. The moon lit the fields, silver across the rows. I walked to the oak tree where my husband was buried, the earth still sacred beneath my feet. I almost lost it all, I whispered to the night. But I didn't. Not because of luck, but because I finally stood. The wind rustled the leaves like an answer. Daniel's footsteps approached behind me. Mother. I turned, startled. He stood there, nervous but determined. I wanted to say one more thing, he murmured. Thank you for not giving up on me even when I didn't deserve it. I studied him, the boy I raised now grown into a man shaped by mistakes. I was angry. I still am sometimes. But anger isn't the opposite of love. It's proof of it. If I didn't care, I wouldn't have fought. His eyes glistened. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I reached out, pulling him into an embrace. Don't spend your life making up for the past. Spend it building the future. He held me tight, and for the first time since the betrayal, I felt the bond between us mending. As we walked back to the house, Michael's lantern glowed in the window, Clara's laughter faintly drifting through the walls. The farmhouse, once filled with emptiness, now pulsed with life again. I paused at the doorway, taking it all in. This is what survival looks like, I whispered. Not just living, but living through the fire and coming out stronger. And as the night closed around us, I knew the circle had closed too, not in defeat but in renewal.